Hi guys, welcome back to the series of user experience videos. In today's video, we will give a brief introduction into user-centered design. What exactly is user-centered design? Why is it important that designers follow user-centered design? And we'll also look at some of the benefits of user-centered design. So, user-centered design is a core principle of user experience, and it's a fundamental basis of everyone involved in user experience. It's basically just a guideline or a framework in which designers involve users throughout the design process. So it's sort of like an iterative design process in which the user experience designers involve users throughout the design process, and they do this through a variety of research. So they would conduct research through design techniques, and they do this in order to make sure that they create something that's actually usable by the users, something that the users would actually want to use and would find it easier to use. So they basically just involve users at every stage of the development process. They keep them engaged by designing, let's say, maybe a screen, and then they show the screen to the users give them the feedback, and then the designers reevaluate and sort of like make changes based on the feedback that they got from the users. And one thing about user-centered design is that it enables the designers to think about the users and the users' needs first of all, and secondly, it enables the designers to think about the business as well. What is it that the business actually wants to achieve from implementing the system, or from developing the system, or from designing the system? And they need to make sure that whatever the business needs and the user needs are, they both need to align to ensure that at the end of the design process, everybody's happy with whatever that has been designed. And one thing that we know is that the majority of the businesses develop systems in order to make money, but you need to ensure that in as much as you want to make money, you need to make sure that the users would actually want to use your system. They would want to achieve a certain task or goal from using your system, and when they actually use your system, then in return that would make you money. At the end of the day, everybody's happy. The users are happy with your system, and the business is actually making money. So what are some of the stages of user-centered design? In this video, we'll only go through 3 stages. Some people actually define up to 5 stages, but that just really depends on the criteria that you're using. So the first stage that we'll go over is the discover stage, and this is where you do your planning and your research. So as the designer, you plan, you find out what exactly is it that your business or your organization wants to achieve from developing a system, and what exactly it is that you're hoping you will get after you've developed that system. And at the same time, you go and find out what the users want to achieve from the system that you as an organization wants to develop. So you ensure that both your needs and the needs of the users align with each other, that they are in synergy together. So the second stage is the design, and this is where you start with you take whatever you found. So you take the results that you gathered during the first stage of the design process. You reflect on the results, you brainstorm the ideas, and you start with the design process. You sketch the design concepts, you sketch your wireframes, your prototypes, and then you move on to the third stage, which is the evaluate stage. This is where you test the concepts with the users or with your customers. You show them what you've actually sketched, you show them the prototypes, the wireframes, and then you get feedback from them. They tell you how they feel about whatever prototypes you have or whatever wireframes you have, and then based on the feedback that they've given you, you correct your mistakes, you evaluate, you redesign everything based on the feedback to ensure that you're actually designing you're actually designing something that the users would actually want to use at the end of the day. But the one thing that you need to remember about the user-centered design is that it's an iterative design process. So as soon as you're done with your discover stage, you need to go back revisit it, reevaluate it, reiterate, and make sure that you're correcting your mistakes. And the same thing goes for the design process and the evaluate process, or the design stage and the evaluate stage. So if you don't include user-centered design, or if you don't follow the user-centered design guidelines, it makes, as a designer, it makes the end users feel as if your system never works or it's difficult to use. But at the same time, it makes the designers feel like the end users are stupid, but when in reality it's because there was miscommunication between the designers and the users of the systems. Because in as much as we like designing stuff, making everything easier for users actually have emotions based on technology that they use. So you need to ensure that whatever that you're designing, it's something that you've included your users, and users are going to be happy with it once you've started using your system. So what are some of the benefits of user-centered design? So the first one is basically just it gives the designers insights into the end users' needs and the business needs. So at the end of the day, you design something that both the users and the business will benefit from. And the second thing is it helps in avoiding scope creep, which is basically just when stakeholders or the people that you're trying to develop the system for, your client, tries to change something or tries to add something onto the scope of the project. So at the beginning, when you start designing the project, when you start designing the system, you agree on a certain scope. You tell the stakeholders that this is what you're going to design for them, but somewhere along the way they try to change the scope and they want to add something or remove something, but when in fact that's not what you agreed on. So user-centered design helps in avoiding all those problems. They help ensure that both the designers and the client and the stakeholders are all on the same page in terms of the scope of the project. And it also helps in it's cheaper to fix problems, because remember, user-centered design is an iterative design process. So you ensure that when you're still in the first stage of the design process, you fix all your mistakes. So when you move on to the second stage, you have less mistakes to make, because you've already fixed the other mistakes that like you made in the first stage. So when you approach the end of the design process and you've made mistakes, it's easier to track back and go back and correct all your mistakes. You don't have to go back to the very first stage of the design process, because you've already fixed all those mistakes. So it's cheaper to fix all those problems. And ultimately, it improves the usability of your system. Users find it easy to use your system because you've engaged with them from the beginning of the project. They told you what they wanted. You designed the system according to what they actually wanted. And what is the benefit of that? It's that it actually improves the entire user experience. When users are actually using your system, they find that it's easy to use, it's usable, it's easier for them to achieve their goals. It's easier for them to achieve the tasks that they need to achieve from your system. And that brings us to the end of this video on user-centered design. I hope it was very useful. Please don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.